Hello and welcome back to another episode of Hawaiian Shear Projects. Today we're going to be back in the forge. We're going to be working on a simple project, making some tent stakes. With this project, it'd be great for you beginners because it will help you learn and practice making a taper as well as a bend. So if you want to see more of that, make sure to stick around. Also with today's video, I'd like to make a recommendation as well as a shout out for you guys to go on ahead and check a good friend of mine's YouTube channel out. That channel is Cowboy Cody. If you're interested at all in the history, the wardrobe, or tools of the trade of a cowboy, feel free to go and check him out. I'll leave a link, either it'll pop up somewhere up here, or if not, it'll be down there in the description. But for now, let's go ahead and light the forge and get to hitting some hot metal. So to start things off, I've got a piece of rebar here. It is a 1/2 inch wide chunk. And I've got plenty of this rebar scrap laying around, so this is what I'm deciding to use for the project. I'm going to go ahead and cut it off at about 10 inches. That'll be big enough for me to get a decent sized stake as well as put a good sized hook on the end. I went ahead and cut it with my bandsaw. You could use a angle grinder, shears, whatever you have available. Now that it's nice and hot, we're going to go to the anvil. We're going to raise the back side that I'm holding on to of the rebar. And I'm going to raise it just a little ways, put a slight angle onto it. And I'm going to angle my hammer as well with each blow. Making sure that every time I strike, I rotate it a quarter of a turn. That'll get to square out a little bit as well as it'll put that taper. The real key thing here is to make sure that you, at least this is the trick that I've learned works pretty well for me. That's to raise the stock as well as to angle the hammer. That'll help keep that point nice and centered. Also, to help preserve your anvil, I like to do this at the very edge of the anvil. And say that way if I have a misblow or something like that, I'm glancing off the side of it and not hitting dead center, putting a large ding into the middle of my anvil. You're just going to keep working it like this until you develop a nice even looking point. And say remember when your stock starts to cool down to a duller red color, that's when you want to do those light taps, light blows with your hammer to try and clean up some of your nasty looking hammer marks. Say this is just a tent stake, so it doesn't really matter too much, but with other projects that you'll be using this trick on and this technique, it is very helpful to make sure you clean everything up. Also, you could use all kinds of different stock for this type of project. These are tent stakes. It really depends on the size of tent you have, what type of wind you're looking at, and just overall what size of stake you want. Say I'm running an old school canvas pyramid teepee, and so I went with 1/2 inch. It does just fine for me. You could use 1/4 inch, and I've seen even some really large ones all the way up to 3/4 inch. Now that we've got the point taken care of, I'm going to go ahead and let that cool down a little bit. On the opposite end of where the point is, I'm going to mark out about 2 inches. The nice thing about my anvil is my hardy hole is 1 inch, and the amount of material on each side of my hardy hole is 1 inch. That's really easy for measurements for me. So I'm just going to measure out 2 inches. That's where I'm going to want my bend to be. So I'm going to use my hardy hole as an example here, just like so. Bring it off the edge of the anvil and strike down. So make sure that you don't strike on your anvil, otherwise you're just going to create an upset. And so you want to actually try and get that to bend over. Once you got a decent, close enough to a 90-degree bend, you're going to go ahead and flip back over onto your anvil and kind of strike it down and towards yourself. That'll help bring that on over and finish up that bend. And just like that, after letting it cool, we got a finished product. I'm going to drive it into the ground here right in my shop. This is some pretty solid dirt, so it's been compacted pretty well. It holds in pretty damn decently. So in order to get it out, I just got to give it a couple taps to the hammer, get a little twist, and out she comes. And there you have it. An old school tent stake. So with that, I want to say thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and click that like button, subscribe, and notification bell will really help me out. And as always, stay classy and party on.